Late today, people. Technical difficulties.
Sorry for the wait, folks.
He's sorry. All kinds of
Yeah. No, how about you? Because I weigh more than you. My chair go down. It's because you like my ass. You need to weigh as much as me. See? That's what it is.
I'm sensitive about my ass. So
You see us live on TikTok yet?
There we go. It's better for you?
I don't see it yet.
Yeah, that's how I do. No, you not. You want to come down some anyway, so you're going to be able to frame. Oh, dang.
Oh, there you go.
So check it, right? So what I'm thinking is.
Oh, okay. I know what I was doing on. Yeah.
Yo, it was on there. It was on that switcher.
Yeah. Check. 1, 2.
You know, I was just gonna bring that up.
All right, man. Now how do I get both?
I saw you invested in the board. I was like, okay, maybe he touched something on the board.
All right, man. Work with them on can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, work with them on TikTok now.
I'm on it right now.
There's other stuff going on here. Let them know.
To the tick.
All right, we just waiting on you guys to tap. We got a few people tapped in already. All right, y'all ready for the show, ain't y'all? I see y'all. I see you. What's up? Nick is in the house. Octopus Orange is in the house. And we are live. Yeah, we are live. Let me do this real quick, you guys, and then we'll get the show started. We just wanted to give people time to come in, then that we're a little bit behind.
Not too much down.
But it's my fault. I be doing a lot. I be doing a lot, y'all. But we appreciate you guys having. I can't even get it all right. We appreciate you guys' patience. And we about to get it started. We got a lot going on. We got. I bet y'all could guess who we got in the studio today. I bet y'all could even guess. You know what I'm saying? Because they're our favorites. You know what I mean? And we got something popping real soon. You know what I mean? We always want to keep you guys in up to date on what's going on and what to look forward to very, very soon. Fat Boy's over there on the other side. You guys don't see. I'm not gonna give you an excuse, man.
All right, man. Listen, y'all. I ain't got too much excuse. I finally got a new car, y'all. A real car this time. So this problem no more. I finally got a real car, and I hate not being in the studio, but I needed to get this done because it keeps coming up, and it always is crazy how it always literally happened right around Thursday, right in time for the show. So we're gonna stop the devil at his tracks, man. We're gonna get to it. So finally got a car. It's a good car, and it shouldn't be breaking down no time soon. But please pray for me out there, people. Please pray for me, for real. At this point.
We're gonna pray for you, man. We're gonna pray for you. I don't know if I'm like doing all this switching, man. I just feel like I'm doing a lot here. Anyway, huh?
I was gonna say just put all three up for today.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can do that.
Yeah, the three.
I had it up there before, but I don't know.
Do the 3 screens.
Yeah.
That way you ain't gotta even worry about it.
Hold on. I'll get it. Can we get it? I did it.
Man, while he doing that, y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Make sure y'all send the show to all your fans and your friends.
There it is.
And your loved ones. You feel me?
Oh, wrong camera.
Hey, mama.
Wrong camera. Okay, hold up. How do I switch this, man? Ah, there we go. There we go. Oh, we in the house right here, baby. That's what's up, man. You know what? On that note, actually, before we get started, man, I wanted to ask y'all: do y'all watch From Scratch, Made from Scratch? Anybody? Mom's watch it, dude. It's so emotional. It's like it puts you on an emotional roller coaster. I'd be happy for him one time, and then the next minute you look up before it's something sad happened. I'm just kind of like.
Made from scratch?
No, he said
Congrats, fat boy. Hey, Nick said congratulations, man.
Thank you, Nick. You know I appreciate you always. I appreciate you.
All right, y'all. We're about to get it started. Here we go.
Let's get
get
to
this intro, and then here we go. All right, we're gonna get it started.
All our illusions will disapparate, and all the reasons start to fade.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Reasons, the show where you can give your reasons why you think what you feel about what we're talking about today. We should know this, man. We say no.
Dear brother, how do y'all deal with erectile dysfunction when you're in a relationship?
I wouldn't know how to do it unless I had it. And remember, if they're talking about you behind your back, they behind you for a reason. Peace. I love y'all.
The reasons that we're here.
What's up, you guys? Yes, we got a different look in case you can't tell. You know what I mean? Because we got people everywhere, every place, anywhere. This is Reasons, you guys. Reasons, the place where you can actually tell us the reasons, what you feel about what we're talking about today. And we have, I'm your boy Fuel.
Fat boy in the building. You already know what type of time we on. We here.
And we have special guests once again from Shades of Non-Monogamy. They in the house. We got Melissa and Wayne.
Look, he said non-monogamy is threw him off.
I know, right? Yeah, it just goes through my head, right? Well, we got Melissa and Wayne, you guys in the house. And one of the reasons that we actually have them here today as well is to kind of get more in depth of what's to come in the new show that's coming up pretty soon, and kind of give more meaning as to what these different relationships are. So we're going to get into that. And of course, we got to talk a little bit more about Kyrie. He's still in the news. We got to talk about that.
Dave Chappelle.
What'd you say, fat boy?
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, he did a monologue about that 15 minutes on Saturday Night Live. So we could tap into that a little bit.
Okay, all right. So we get into that on Dave Chappelle. How to create a balance in a successful relationship. How to create a balance. Do you guys know how to do that? Do y'all know what to do? Or do y'all got ideas? If so, let me know. Let us know. All right. Let us know. And what else? Can you grow to love someone, or is it really love at first sight? Can you grow to love someone, or is it really love at first sight? I put all those up there just now because I'm doing a whole lot, so I want y'all to see just in case y'all didn't hear what I was saying. All right. Let's get into it first, man. What you want? That's Kyrie. You want to get into that?
We can get into Kyrie first. Once again, I'm actually this week I'm a little better, y'all. Last week I was hot. This week I'm a little better because the brothers in the league are starting to stand up. You having comments of Stephen A. Smith kind of starting to stand up. Right. And basically saying that when a black man steps up and voices his opinion, that it's easy for him to be broken, right? And everything taken and snatched away from him, right? There's been numerous of comments of saying that Kyrie, we know that he's not anti-Semitic, but yet they're trying to break him in front of everybody, right? And they're trying to make him an example in front of everybody. And so I kind of was a little upset with the league and all of his peers, right? Because they didn't really stand up and say anything. But Jaylen Brown, who is vice president of the Players Association, when he spoke on that, when he started to talk about it, I was really listening. I was like, okay, now this is what we need to see. We need to start seeing brothers. We need to start seeing our peers stand up for us when we make a certain stance, because it's such a slippery slope that if we allow it to happen to our neighbor, it can happen to you. So I always use the concept: if I let my neighbor's house get robbed and I don't stop them,
right,
my house will be next. And I think that we have to start to understand that and operate in that fashion. So shout out to the NBA players, but yet I think that the 5-day suspension is up and he's supposed to play Sunday, but Josiah is saying that he's not done.
Really?
And we want to know exactly what does Kyrie have to do to meet his approval, right? What makes him where is his approval, right? How does this go from basketball? Like, how does this have to do with the league and things like that? So I'm definitely happy to hear Stephen A. Smith step out, and Jay Williams, man, who's one of my favorite basketball players, who's a point guard. He played at Duke and got into a crash, and so he couldn't play when he got drafted by Chicago. But is a great analyst, and he spoke on it very deeply, and just talking about how he's tired of seeing us, even as people, right? And I was just as hot as about this last week, us as people allowing the mainstream media or particular communities to be able to basically ostracize and defame a man's character because he made a tweet, right? Because he said something or did something people disagree with, and they try to make him anti-Semitic, and they try to put all these things on him because he posts something that may have had some anti-Semitic tropes within it, right? But it wasn't saying
something something that wasn't made by him, something that wasn't even created by him. This is just like I was saying before, and I'll preach it again. It has a lot to do with people and their finances, as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, as those that we want to speak out, those that we think that should be leading the march, basically, so to speak. Those are the ones or whatever that has, don't want to lose what they have. Now a lot like Kyrie was bold enough. He's bold enough to lose what he had. You know what I'm saying? Kanye bold enough to lose what they have. A lot of people that's bold enough to lose what they have in order to make a point and to let other people see and understand. The truth behind all of this is the problem that we have. And that's why you have the Barclays and all these others. That's basically speaking against or just. Or negative. I won't say against, but negatively about the whole situation or whatever. It's because they're trying to keep what they got.
Absolutely.
As soon as they say something negative about this or whatever, and that's the control that they have over them. And I don't want to be specific and say names and stuff like that or whatever, but that's the control that they have over them. When this man apologizes and tell you, or feel like forced to apologize or whatever, just in order to even keep playing and keep what he has right now, it says a lot. That holds a lot in itself. You know what I mean? And that's where where us as a people should see and recognize or whatever, and try to get more behind them. You know what I mean? So I get that. And it's just kind of like, what do you do from this point? Because it's something that's going to be going on, and the question is going to be is, can we stop it or can we not stop it? You know what I mean? And that's really what it comes down to, because they have the power enough to feel like, oh, y'all can say whatever y'all want or whatever, but you can't stop it. You know what I mean? They have this certain thing or grip on people where, in order for you to make this type of money, you have to do these certain things. You know what I'm saying? And you have to basically secretly keep your mouth shut about certain things you do learn about. And that's what that's what Kyrie hasn't done. That's what Kanye hasn't done or whatever. And that's why we see the results of what that we're getting from them right now. Orenzi. Is it Orenzi Simmons?
Yeah,
Did I
Big
say that
O.
right?
Yeah, that's Big
Yeah.
O. That's my boy. What's up, Big
Yeah,
O?
he said, what's good? Have y'all talked about her? Yeah, that's what we're talking about now. And then Shell said, glad to hear others have common sense and are taking stands.
Absolutely. I'm
said Kyrie-
extremely happy about
We
it.
would never meet his approval. We got Joy. Oh, before I get further into it, I don't mean to cut off real quick, but a friend of mine, Lisa's birthday is today, so everybody tell Lisa
Happy birthday, Lisa.
You know, I
Happy
know y'all
birthday,
know y'all
Lisa.
like, who the heck is Lisa? Man, it's her birthday.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
All right. I forgot to get that out the very beginning.
But yeah, absolutely. Like Michelle
I
was
wanted
saying.
to see if Wayne knew. Did y'all have anything?
Yeah,
on
go
that?
ahead. Hold on, y'all. Let me do something real quick.
Go ahead, Wayne.
No, yeah, I just would say that I just love that we're just becoming more aware of what's going on and kind of recognizing who we are, starting to learn our history, you know, and I think that's just very powerful in itself. And I think that's the problem, right? Once we start to understand who we are and we start to claim who we are, now that doesn't benefit the system that's in place, and that's where the problem lies. Because once we say, hey, this is who we are, and now, you know, we're not going to stand for this, or, you know, we're not going to allow this to happen. Like, you know, when he's just like in his own words, and he says, how can I be anti-Semitic when I know who I am? And if you do your research and homework and you go look up what anti-Semitic means, or what does Semitic means, and then you start to see, you know, why he says the things he says and how he cannot be anti-Semitic. But
Right.
you know,
Yeah, and that's my thing is or the bad part about this whole thing is just because you learn and feel who you are is why these others are upset, and I don't understand that.
well, because we weren't supposed to know who we were, right? They took that from us,
That
right?
part.
They hid it from us, and now I say that, you know, the internet, you know, as great as the internet is, it's starting to
Open up.
destabilize
Yeah.
the power, the controlling powers, because
Yes.
we're starting to we can go out there and we can research and we can learn for ourselves. Now we don't need anybody to streamline information to us. We can go off script and go find whatever we need. Find whatever we need, you know. And so
Yeah.
that's the problem.
And I guess the one of my question is there enough of us doing that research though, or is there enough, you know what I'm saying, to where it seemed like it would be a bigger backing for Kyrie or
Just the fact that the
yeah.
conversation has started is
Yeah.
great. You know, we may not get it right now, but just the fact that the conversation started, people starting to ask questions and wonder, and now you start. So that in itself is a lot. Something that we didn't have a couple years ago.
True,
you know,
true.
so today we're having a conversation about it. We're having a conversation about Hebrews to Negroes. You know, we're having a conversation about Israelites. We're having a conversation about Jews and Jewish. So, you know, these conversations are now being had, which again now causes people to go research and look up information, and conversation starts. You know, now you create more platforms on talking points on these conversations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think a big part of the backlash, right, is exactly what you said, Wayne, because now you can go gather the information, and then the lies that has been spreaded so far, you can start to challenge them, right, and change that narrative. And so that's kind of scary when you're trying to control the masses and then a particular people, right? It's very scary to empower someone who's been oppressed for so long, because what happens is there's this fear that the people who were oppressed will become the oppressors, and so you can't give them that type of empowerment. And when you see Kyrie able to stand and say, hey, how can I be anti-Semitic? I'm Semitic. That's scary, right? Because then it forces you to go look up what is Semitic, right? And what are the 12 tribes of Judah, right? It makes you go do the research, and then when you come back and say, oh, hold on, he actually has some sense, and he actually is speaking some facts, right? There aren't any tropes in what he's talking about. There aren't any anti-Semitic comments about what he's talking about, because he's speaking pure facts about us and as a culture, right? And that's a lot, right? It's like, I think about my father in their era, right? That Black Panther, that Black Power did so much to them, right? It ignited a certain pride within them, where you got, we talk about the Black Panthers, but they don't tell you that they were all college students, right? You have Dr. Angela Davis, right? And so they were able to stand within that movement because they were able to exercise their voices. And so
I guess the question really though comes up to, really, when all said is done, is for them to be upset, for them to have this negative spin on this and everything with us. Are they coming out and saying, no, well, what you're reading is not true?
Absolutely not.
Right? Or what you found out or whatever. This is really what it was. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it's kind of like, especially for those that are wealthy, instead it's kind of like, oh, well, you're doing this or whatever, and you're trying to prove this, that you're better than us, or you're just as equal as us, and we have to let you know that you're not. You know what I mean? And that's where the problem comes, because there's not one Jewish person to come in and be like, you know what y'all read, that's not really true. What y'all finding on the internet, no, this is wrong. This is what the book says. This is what, I'm saying? There's no argument between about whether it's right or wrong or whatever. That's the whole point. So how can it be anti-Semitic if you're reading something about yourself?
And you're saying they gaslighting us.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what they do. Exactly. And it's a daggone shame, man. But real quick, Shell said, isn't that with isn't that with all jobs you have to keep your mouth shut and do certain things to get paid that money, right?
Yeah,
that's basically what that's basically is what it is. At a certain job, whatever, you know what I'm saying? If you know something or whatever, you gotta keep, if you want to keep that job, you gotta be quiet.
But when do we do things for our stand and for love, right? I just talked to a brother today, a white guy today, and we were just talking about corporate war and corporate America, and he was telling me that he made great money, right? And he had this great life, but he hated it. For 43 years, this man worked, provided for his family, all of these things, but he hated what he did. And so we got to talking about it. I told him, man, he said, I really wanted to do music. But, you have to take care of the family. You have to do all these things. And I use this as an example, right? We have to also understand that people are also afraid of their livelihood also.
And that's the part. That's like really what this whole thing like really comes down to.
How you live and your survival. And so a lot of people who aren't comfortable with being uncomfortable, and a lot of people who are comfortable with their lifestyles, doesn't want anyone challenging and bringing any truth, right? Because we live in a live Truman Show.
Yeah, and a lot of us look at those. I don't know if I'm playing devil's advocate at this point, but you look at people, like you said, that work to get their lifestyles to where they have it, and we look at it like, oh, well, you got money, so you can lose, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and fight and do this or whatever and that. But it's not really that simple. You know what I mean? Because, you have, if you got like a $25 million mansion and you can lose, 20 million, then, what are you going to do? If you can lose that 20 million or whatever, and you can't pay the rest of that mortgage or whatever the case may be that you get every year or every month or whatever the case, your employment pays you, then, it's kind of like a lot. And then what are they going to do? So they're going to feel like, oh, well, I'm just going to be poor like y'all, or I'm going to be just, normal like y'all or whatever. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. I just, again, do you really need all that house though? You know what I
No.
mean? Like,
I mean, but you know, when you basically immune to the lifestyle, though, you know what I'm saying?
right,
It's
but
kinda
you do
like
it's for more for
if you
show
got
than
5
anything.
kids and you
Absolutely.
want, and if you got 4 or 5 kids and they're going to the best schools and the best whatever and
Right.
stuff like that, and you know, they don't want to take it from them.
No, yeah, you can still pay for those things. Yeah, you might have to get rid of your house, but you can still afford to pay for the schools. You can't
Absolutely.
make a $20 million
I would
home.
think, yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we would
One-
think.
One
But
of
you
the
have to also
richest
look at-
men in the world, we have to understand this about money, man. One of the richest men in the world stays in the same house that he bought in 1965. That's Warren Buffett. Okay. He's one of the greatest venture capitalists the world has ever seen. He owns damn near every company he still stays in the same house. The owner of Amazon only pays himself $80,000 a year. Okay. So it goes to Wayne's point. You don't need all that money. But once
Right.
again, society once again places these ideologies that you have to have these things to reach this status. But when you have someone like Kyrie who's bucking that, right? He's challenging that. Forget the money, forget what they're saying. This is who we are as a people. And if I have to be crucified for it, then that's just what I'll have to do. Right. And so he's recognized that it's not about the money. If I can't say what I want to say and play the game that I love, right, they're challenging that. And so I have to look beyond the money as well, because they are, right. Everyone else, I think, especially culturally for us, is looking past the money. Right. That's the reason why they're able to create the wealth, because they look past the money, because the money is the last thing. Because if I'm successful and Wayne's successful and Melissa's successful and Fuel's successful and we all come together, that's 4 successful people with 4 voices, with 4 networking. It's different, right? But if just one of us is successful and we only dictate who else can get in, it creates it makes easy for division. It's easy to divide.
But one of the things we need to fix is, and I'll let you say what you're going to say, Wayne. But one of the things that we need to fix is the problem that we have with our culture. And the problem that we have with our culture is not working with each other. You know what I'm saying? And not building together.
And united.
And
like we were talking about last week.
We're not united. You know what I'm saying? And we're probably one of the worst culture when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I hate to say, but we are the worst one. You know, it's kind of like, you see somebody that makes it or whatever, then instead of bringing them up, or instead of teaching them or making it grow even bigger with together, you know what I'm saying? Like each, like most they teach their kids, they teach their families or their relatives and even friends or whatever how to succeed or how to make their business grow. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, or make their money grow. I mean, we're in LA. We have all different cultures around us. We have a community of Latinos. We have communities of Asians. We have communities of Armenians. And I see it each and every day of how they can come in this country. They can come in this country with nothing and still have something. You know what I mean? Because of what their people brought them up. How many African American can come in California or any other state or whatever from out, or even an African from somewhere can actually come here and we bringing them up.
So
Go ahead.
what I was going to say is, but see, all that speaks to what Kanye was talking about, right? Because again, we don't control the narrative of our community. We don't control the narrative of what we create. And so the music that's put into our community is so detrimental to us, right? Because that's why I was going to say, like, you look at all our top athletes and our top entertainers, who rappers, whoever you want to call them, who make money. Look at where they live at. Look how many cars they got. You go compare them to whoever the CEO of whatever company. Look where they live at. Look how many cars they got. It's not even the same, right? What they spending money on is not what we spend our money on, right? So to get to Fat Boy's point, right? And so again, when we say that we don't work together, we get a message put in our community every day of how we need to be individuals, how we need to floss on one another, how we need to. I need to have more than you have. I need to show you that I got more than you have. So with that mindset, we're gonna always be individuals because we're being divided on a daily basis. Even the content we consume on a daily is telling us to be divided.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Jordan, he made the point. Not enough people in my generations are investing into books that are educating of self. We need more. True that. That is true. That is true. Also, you said we need more viewers. You ain't lying.
Yes. Yes.
So share. So I got the camera. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got the camera all on there on the guest. But yeah, you ain't kidding. So share. That's what Michelle said. She said
share.
Exactly, whatever. Because I think our show do be, I mean, it definitely has informative information, and you guys can use that, of course, accordingly to your lives. Let's get into the next
topic. We're gonna talk about Dave Chappelle. It's kind of coincide.
You kind of threw that one on me.
Yeah,
what's going on about?
It's kind of the same thing. It was kind of talking about the same thing. I just kind of want to talk about how
the skit.
One, how Dave Chappelle, man, is such a GOAT at what he does.
Yeah.
And what he after this Saturday Night Live monologue, he showed me how much we need comedy.
Right.
Right. Only Dave Chappelle could talk about sensitive topics.
Yeah.
Be raw with his approach, but be intelligent in how he conveys his message. And I think that only he does it. He's mastered what the Richard Pryors and the Eddie Murphy did before him. I think that what he was doing is he was able to address the Kanye and the Kyrie and this invisible power of the Jews and make it comical, but also hit key points. I just really wanted to address that. When Big O put that in there, I said we definitely have to talk about just what Chappelle means, not only to comedy, right, but and not only to us as a culture, but just to humankind. I think that just his spirit and the way that he sensitive topics and make them funny, but then make you understand and also let it hit home. I think that that's a blessing to be able to do. So shout out to Dave Chappelle for just doing what he does, and being intellectually strong.
Do you feel that that we're only able to read through his comedy?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying as far as, because there are certain things that he can say that only we can recognize and understand, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But also what he does, and that's why I say it's such a necessity for comedy. What he does is he brings it to the others, right? And he does it in a way to where they have to understand. He's not yelling it at you. He's not angry with you. He's just simply giving you the facts and letting you digest them as you will, right? And I think that to answer your question, we get him right away. We understand him right away. But when they leave him, it sits with them, right? They have to really, after they laugh and they have to really take in the message and the information that he gave them. And like Wayne said, it allows you to go research now, right? And kind of to understand what is Dave Chappelle talking about. And because he's able to do that, he can get a white guy or a Jewish woman or Asian woman, right, to kind of look besides themselves and to really look at the problem, because our problem is the nation's problem. And I would always say that as long as we allow the deformation and the demise of the African American in the United States of America, there will continue to be homelessness, there will continue to be poverty, there will continue to be mass incarceration, there will continue to be gun violence, because as long as we allow one people to suffer, the world falls. It's just the basic domino theory.
What was the white guy's name that the Jewish white guy that's a comedian, or he was a comedian?
Rappaport, he's a clown.
Rappaport, yeah. Now he's supposedly admitting that everything that we're saying is true.
He was being a jerk though.
It's kind of like saying it's true and boasting as if like we can't do nothing about it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
that
And I
says
think
a lot as well.
he needs to.
Wayne was going to say something.
He
I
has
was
too much say in the culture myself.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, first of all, there's a lot of Jewish rabbis out here actually talking about it, and they speaking about it in a positive way. You know, you can go check them out. They're giving information as well. But I was gonna say, you know, the biggest jumps in the country's been through black progression. Whenever, to Fat Boy's point, whenever black people get, you know, get things ruled in their favor, the country is able to basically progress off of that. You know, and also Dave Chappelle is very smart in what he does. His audience at first was a white audience, and I think that we tend to forget that. And so he knows how he's just intelligent. He knows how to speak to them. Like, so what he's saying to them, he knows how to get to them, because that's where he started out at. It wasn't a black. Well, the black audience didn't come on until he started making his movies and
Dave Chappelle.
The Chappelle show is when he really got put on to black people. But before then, he was doing things, but he just wasn't in front of black audience at first.
Great point, Wayne. Great point, and which makes him, I think, it easier for him, like you said, to be able to convey the message, because that was his crowd anyway. And I think that was his agenda, and which is dope, because if you stand for what you believe in, it's easier for you to make your way, right? And so he's always had this stance, and it took time for us as a culture to catch up with Dave Chappelle. So that's a great point, Wayne. Yeah. That's a great point. It took for him to do certain things. I'm gonna read this. It says, Dave Chappelle excites me. Those SNL writers were not right for this show, but Dave and the crew pulled it off, and he touched on all the issues via comedy. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, do you guys think, and I'm just asking, do you guys think that just because when it's said in a comedic way, that it's watered down?
No,
as far as the attention that it should have, or the seriousness that it should have?
No. Oh, and I think no, because the way that he does it, I think Wayne hit it on the head. The way that he approaches these crowds, he makes it in a joking form. But Dave Chappelle is dead ass serious when he's conveying certain messages. He makes certain pauses. He waits for the punchline. When he really wants to convey a message, he waits for that punchline, and then he gives you a bunch of knowledge, and then he gives you time to laugh, right? And that's what makes him so brilliant at what he does, right? Because he gives you knowledge, and then he lightens the room, right? He gives you a lot of intense information and shit that you may throw up and you can't stomach, but then he makes you laugh right after. And so you heard the information, but then you laughed it right off. But when you leave, you're stuck with that information because you heard it. And so that's what I think, that it's never watered down. I think that what he does is he gives he brings light to our plight in America in a special way through comedy. I think the way that he makes it comical makes it more understandable.
I sometimes wonder if, because we laugh about it, that we forget about the seriousness behind it. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I think people can get in that state of mind where, you know, we just laugh about it or whatever, but yet I'm trying to turn everybody on. But we laugh about it, and then we'll forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Now we thought about it as just been a joke or whatever, you know. And I'm not saying everyone, because, you know, of course, like I said, I think as a culture, we can read between the lines about things. You know what I'm saying? When somebody in our, you know, from our race or whatever is saying something, you know, but I do feel like that it's ignored through others when you know, I don't know. That's my guess. I don't know. Well, y'all, I don't know.
I think if it's not Dave Chappelle, maybe. But I think that the way he does it, he articulates himself so well, and he's so
yeah. But the way, remember the whole thing with the transgender thing or whatever, how we knew what he was saying, we knew what he was talking about, and they twisted it into something else or whatever to make it, you know, although we laughed about it, then they twisted it into something else. You know what I mean? So I was just wondering if a lot of people kind of look at it that way. Majority of people look at it that way, as opposed to how we actually look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Great point. Great point.
You know what I mean?
All right. We can move on from that now.
Right? Shell is on spot. It's spot on. That's what Shell said.
Always. Always spot on, man.
Yeah,
He
Weapon
came back with a
Force is
vengeance.
a monster.
I really truly think so.
Yeah,
I
it's a
really
pro.
truly think he came to challenge and basically break apart the system, one joke at a time.
Yeah.
And I think that is very dope. I think laughter does the body good as a medicine. That's biblical. That ain't me. And I think he does. He understands his position, man, and he understands what the command that he has with that microphone. And I think that if more brothers and sisters exercise that same ability, I think we'll be a lot better off because like Wayne said, it just opens up for these conversations, and it's just time for these conversations to be had so we can remove the sensitivity and really start to invoke change. I think that when we're sensitive, we don't want to change because we think people are pointing the fingers. But when we start to take a little accountability, we're more susceptible to change. And I think that that's what Dave Chappelle gives you.
Right.
I'm on point today, huh, y'all?
Oh yeah,
You're on it,
you on
dog.
fire.
You
You on it. Yeah. Like
Even
that.
though you at home.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
That's what's up.
Let's get it, y'all.
All right, so let's get into this. Can you grow to love someone, or
Is it
is
love?
it really love at first sight? That's an interesting question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, you came up with that question.
I know.
You been coming over there. I know what you be. I know what you're doing over there, dog.
Oh man, you know what? Like so, I use me, man. I'm y'all guinea pig. Really.
Yeah.
I love this show. I love our viewers. I love our audience. You know, I'm a personal guinea pig. So when I go through something or when I learn something, I'm coming to bring it to y'all. Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't been able to learn nothing but this damn studio at work.
I know, for real. Huh?
Ain't been able to experience nothing in the last daggone year. Feel like. So all right. So what do you think then? You got the question. What do you think? Can you grow to love someone, or is it really love at first sight? Do you believe in love at first sight?
I do actually. And I'm speaking from my experience. I can go with both. I think that when I first met my lady, I was already like, okay, this could potentially be my wife, even though I was in the streets running around doing what I was doing. But then I added the other part of the topic because I think the more that I show her that I'm serious, the more she falls in love and grows love for me. And so that's why I added that.
When you first seen her, did you say like, you know how some people say, that's my wife?
Yeah, immediately.
Are you saying that because she's right there and behind you, or?
Oh no, I told her. I told her this.
I'm teasing.
I immediately started to fix my clothes and
I know that.
Change my behavior and all kind of stuff. You know, so
I remember when you came in, it was like, what kind of shirt, man? So this ain't right. This
ain't right because I didn't do right on that last day. I showed
up. Yeah, baby said this ain't right.
This ain't right. For real.
I don't know if I believe in love at first sight.
Okay.
I do believe in infatuation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because when you see someone, the first thing I go through my mind is, damn, is she sexy, or she's, before I even have a word come out of her mouth or whatever. I can't say when I first meet somebody, I could tell when I can see myself with that person. I don't know if it's love, but I can see myself with that person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. At first sight, it's kind of like when I meet you and I see you, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see myself with. And I'm not saying see it in a sexual way. I'm just saying like in a, just kind of like, I don't know if you just parent visually as a couple or whatever type of thing. That's probably how it look like. In other words, it's kind of like she's my type. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of like, oh, she's my type. And if everything else falls in, oh, we great. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I first, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's probably why that's why I'm yeah, anyway.
See, you started already. You started already. You ain't got no sense. You ain't got no sense. But I think
it's like loving the idea of this person
at
first sight. Loving the idea.
Loving the idea of someone
not necessarily
at first
the person,
sight.
but the idea of that person.
Yeah. I think that's my problem.
The reason why I say that I believe in love at first sight is because immediately when I met my woman, I immediately know that I needed to be a better man.
Uh-huh.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it wasn't infatuation, it wasn't sex. It was like I have to be a better man to be with this woman.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I say it was more love at first sight. I had to do a personal check of my own self, right? And the kind of man that I was, because I walked in on a whole type time, right? A different type time. And when I seen it, I said, oh shit, this ain't that. So let's correct that. And that's why I mean love at first sight, because I immediately, from the first meeting, before she opened her mouth, I knew that I had to be my better self to even be able to approach this woman properly. And that's what I mean by that.
Right. Oh yeah. And that makes sense. Let's ask the experts over here.
Experts.
What do you guys feel about that?
I'm not an expert at love at first sight.
Right. Well, I think it's a mixture of both. Honestly, I think it's either or. It could be either or. I know that, for instance, Melissa, most people who know us know our story. I hadn't even spoken to Melissa. I just observed her that night, but I told my friends when I saw her, I said, hey, if you ever want to know what my type is, that's her right there. That's my future baby mama / wife. I had never spoken to Melissa.
Right.
Had no contact with her at all. And I told my friend, if I saw her again, I guarantee we'd be together. And that's what happened. So it was definitely that, in that case. But there's also been cases where I haven't had that all of a sudden attraction to somebody like that, or feel, or with energy, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And we've grown to evolve into a relationship because we grew to love one another. So yeah, that's why I say I think it's both.
But is that love at first sight? Like, if you have never talked to me, you didn't know anything about me, like,
right? So now,
was that
right?
love?
So now we go into manifestation, right? Because it's happened to me twice in my life, right? On both marriages, right? So both times I had seen somebody, and I knew that I need to be with this person. And it wasn't the first time. When I saw him that first time, we didn't get together. It was the second time I ran to him, and the second time I ran to him was by chance. It wasn't something that was created. The first person I ran into, I saw them on a bus. Is when I was early in the military, 1990. 3 months later, a friend of mine said, "Hey man, I met this girl. Come with me to meet her. She got a friend." I was like, "Cool." I go and it's the girl from the bus. And instantly that day but I already knew. I'd been fantasizing, thinking about her for so long already. Same thing with her. I saw her. She didn't give me any information. Whatever, she left. 2 weeks later, I ran into a friend of her, somebody who she was with, and I remembered, and so I gave her my information. Most of the call until we were together since then. So again, it wasn't that I, it was like, kind of like infatuated. I knew that that this is the person that was drawn to them for whatever reason, and it was strong. It wasn't a fleeting feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Way to answer that, Wayne. All right. Yes, sir.
I would say that I will go with both then.
Yeah, both, definitely. Definitely. I think that you can I think that you can have love at first sight, right? And I think that the more that you go through adversities with this person and you guys grow, I also think that the love grows is more as well, right? I think that there's a deeper bond. Definitely. Because you guys are watching each other elevate and you're watching each other grow. And so you're also growing to love the person that they're becoming as well, because you've seen how they started and you've seen where they are now. And so great point. Great point, Wayne. Melissa, so what do you feel? I gotta know, Melissa, how you feel about it? What do you think?
I don't know that I'm trying to think. I don't know that I've experienced love at first sight, so I don't want to say it's not a thing, just because I haven't experienced it. Okay. But I think I have experienced like this connection. For some reason, it doesn't allow me to call it love.
Okay.
Well, but then that's so complicated, because I do think that there's like generally just this love. I think I have the capacity to just love, people, like regardless if I met you, if it's romantic or not, like I have this deep love for people. But like in a romantic way, or like I want to be with you for the rest of my life, I've never experienced that like at first sight.
At first sight.
So, I I don't know. I say for me, it's more of a growing, and not even that it needs to take a lot of time. I don't even think it needs like a lot of time, but just something other than just that visual. And maybe because you got to watch me and observe me, maybe that's what you were saying. So you got an idea for me. So it wasn't just like, oh, you saw me and it was like, what? It was like you saw me and then you watched me and then you got a vibe, you know, you like got a feel for me, and you even made opinions about me based on my behaviors or what you saw.
Yeah. And at the same time, you know, what people don't know is again that you were young and you hadn't experienced on your own.
Yeah, you always say that you kind of already knew, you went through a lot of experiences. But again, you didn't engage with me or talk to me. So how do you know I had all of those?
It's like
qualities?
with anything, right? If you like a certain food and you smell it, you know, so if you smell something that's resembles that, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm probably gonna like that because it kind of reminds me of that, you know. So yeah, so it's just through experience.
So we have like this non-physical connection. Yeah, there's like this spiritual connection, you and I.
Spiritual connection. There you go.
And just like now, we talk about her and I talk about how we've transitioned so much past that at this point now within our relationship. Like it's not this this what do you call it? What we talked about, how we know that we're so much more than just the relationship itself, just Wayne and Melissa. Like our connection is so different now, so much stronger, so much deeper than just physically.
You mean like a spiritual connection? It's like a sacred connection type of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All
we
right.
got purpose.
Right. And that's to the point of what Fat Boy was talking about, because as the more we're together, the more we experience things together and go through things, it just becomes that much deeper for us. Like, you know, at this point now, like, again, life partner. You know,
right.
I don't foresee myself, you know, no matter who we engaging with outside of us, we're gonna always be us. So, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for myself, I thought at one time that it was, you know, a thing about love at first sight, that I could actually fall in love with someone at first sight. But I think it was an infatuation, because once I learned about that person, I tried to learn to love her. That makes sense?
Yes.
I tried to learn to love her because I was infatuated, just kind of her looks and her, you know, some of the things that we did, you know, do together and finish each other's words at times, whatever. Like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? So I had to like grow or try to, you know, kind of make that love stronger with just knowing or getting to know the person,
right?
As opposed to, you know, and when I first seen her, and I probably shouldn't have said, I ain't gonna say, but when I first seen her, it was in a situation that probably it shouldn't have been in, but I tried to ignore it. If y'all follow me here, I tried to ignore that situation, and because I had it in my mind, like, hey, I could see myself with her, blah blah blah, whatever. But I let it go. But then it came back. Then I let it go again, and then it came back again, and I started thinking to myself, like, maybe this person is the one for me. You know, maybe this person, because, you know, when we talked or whatever, it was kind of like we were best friends. We was like, you know, cool, whatever. But needless to say, it didn't happen like that. I mean, it didn't last like it should have. And it was more disappointing. You know what I mean? But that's what I thought it was. I thought it was kind of like a love at first sight type of thing, up until I got to know, you know what I'm saying, that person or whatever. So for me to say, you know, love at first sight, I don't know.
I have all kind of questions, but I'm not going to ask you.
Go ahead.
Right. No, I wouldn't do, but because that's going to.
You gonna say who?
No. But what I was going to say is that, you know, all things aren't meant to last, right?
Right.
And so, you know, maybe it was just for what it was, like for you guys to get to know each other, help each other grow. It's kind of like, you know, see where you need to healing it, or where you can help each other at. And then once your purpose is done, you know, then, you know, you get to go on somewhere else where you know, to the next person who you know, because you've now grown to be open and available to the next person that's supposed to come along for you.
And that's how I looked at it. I looked at it afterwards or whatever, after all was said and done. It was kind of like that season. And the reason I look at it that way too is because of the certain things that we went through. That's things I'm sure that person learned about themselves, as opposed to what I've learned about myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? As where even though, you know, we've learned different things about ourselves, it was like what meant to be forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? That type of thing. So,
you know, your story gives me a different perspective on the question now. So now I have a different answer.
okay.
So,
Go ahead.
I mean, so I think a lot of us, we confuse like love and relationships, right?
Mhm.
So interchangeably. Now that I think about it, it's like, okay, I think love could be at first sight, because I think it's a little deep, but like it's automatic. Like love, to me, I can see it as like an automatic thing. Like that's a given. The love is there.
Right.
But the relationship aspect, now that's a whole other story and experience. And that takes, you know, choice, that takes decision, that takes like action and, you know, maintenance and all these things. But I think we measure that love based off of the relationship. And like when you said how long it lasts or what's involved in it or whatever the things. And so
I agree.
So maybe it was love at first sight, and you know, and the love is there, but again, we confuse that with like
relationships. Yeah. I think that was the greatest point. See, and I knew you was gonna double back on us, right? I knew that you would, once it settled in, that you would give that knowledge, right? Because I think that that's very important. I think that we when we were talking about gender, right, and we were talking about sexuality, I think we start to merge a lot of these things together, but they're separate entities, and they're way separate. I think that love is love, and relationships is a totally different thing, right? Relationships require so much. Love doesn't require anything but love in return.
Yeah, like love, if you equate it to like energy, it's like it's always there, it's always existent, no matter what. Like, so
I guess, and just to even piggyback on that, like that's you're right, because I still love the people that I've been with.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I still love them. You know what I mean? There's no hate, and we can still call and be friends or say hi or whatever without any, you know, bad feelings towards each other.
Even if you do have bad feelings towards each other, I mean that it's still there. Like
we
still miss them, we still think about them. Like,
It's true. And to Fat Boy's point, you know, again, it's just all this is interchangeable. It's just changing the narrative and changing how we view things, right? Because we see it one way, but when we can connect it to something else and we can show that it's all the same, it's just how we view it, you know. And we start out viewing things within our box that we're given, like that's given to us. And when you start to go outside that box and start to see how everything is interchangeable, interconnected, you can see, you get a different perspective, and you can kind of, now it's easier to work through those relationships that before you couldn't, it would end because for whatever reason you didn't have the tools or the know-how to be in that relationship. But once you were able to start to think outside of that and start to connect things, now it's easier to resolve those issues that were previous within the previous relationships.
Absolutely. Real quick, Benny Cook, what's up, man? I see you on Facebook, man. Get over here on YouTube, man.
Come on, jump on YouTube. You want to read the comments?
I see you too. I appreciate you guys tapping in though on YouTube, on Facebook as well. But let's get some comments real quick. Dave has never simulated, and he has always brought to the forefront that he stands for his people, and that the truth that what it means to be black and a black man in American industry, portray black culture. I really messed that up. Right. But you got what I said. You see what I said. Dave has never assimilated. That's true. That is true. Moms, that's your mom, right? Yeah.
Yep.
LOL Fuel. Yes, he called me immediately and said, I think I met my wife last night. But to Fat Boy's point, I don't believe in love at first sight.
She said, I do.
Mom said. You heard that, man.
Fate. Michelle said fate.
Fate, yeah. Actually, she summed it up in one word. Fish is in a house. What's up, Fish? Read that, Fat Boy.
Fish said it's impossible to have love at first. It's possible to have love at first sight with many people. We all have the ability to meet platonic soulmates throughout our lives. Love does not have to always be sexual. It can be intimate or both. Absolutely. And I think that we confuse sex with intimacy often, and I think that's where we fail in our relationship. Because,
I ain't gonna lie.
I'm learning, right?
Yeah,
we
talked about it like that.
I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, one quick other
I've been
thing.
so confused.
I think too, we think about love and like the condition of how it benefits us. Like when we think about loving somebody else, it's like, well, we love them, and how does it benefit us? And I think to that viewer's point of like, I think it always exists. Dang, I had it in my mind and I lost it. I think it always exists. I think that love, that true love, is like when it doesn't benefit us and we still feel that feeling of love. If that makes any sense, you know.
Say it again.
Basically, unconditional love is what I'm describing.
Okay.
Like, and that. So then, in that case, then I think that yes, that love is true, is possible. Love at first sight is possible. Then.
Okay.
Because I think we think that it's not possible because it's like, well, how can this person really benefit me if I don't really know them? But because you can still love them. I don't know. I put it.
No, you got it.
No.
I have it in my mind, and it's not coming out right.
But it goes to your point. It was like what I said is like I immediately knew to properly love her that I had to be a better man myself, right? And so it wasn't beneficial for me at all. It was more of being a better man for her. You know what I mean? And so you're absolutely right. I agree.
Being a better man for yourself is being a better man for her.
Yes, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Which in turns was because it mainly was all about, I wasn't necessarily thinking about me because I was at the moment, be honest, right, Fuel? I was comfortable at where I was. Right? Let's be honest. Let's say that
You don't want me to be honest.
I was comfortable where I was.
You want me to tell you where you was? No, I ain't gonna tell you.
I was ashamed.
I ain't gonna do that, man. I ain't gonna do that.
But no, it goes to your point, Melissa. Absolutely. It's loving unconditionally, right? And loving with not trying to get anything in return. And I think that a lot of times it's lust because we're trying to get sex in return. It's lust because we're trying to get intimacy in return. It becomes lust when it's all these other things, right? But it's true and genuine love when there's nothing else but just wanting to be a better person so you can be the best for that individual.
Well said.
Yep. Shell said, I've experienced interest in first sight. Conversations and intelligence make me love. Okay, Shell, I got you on that. All right. Andrew, I've experienced love as friends, but when I met my wife, it was different because we were both on the same page at the same time. We were in season and we capitalized on that. Ooh, nice. Man, y'all making me jealous here.
Fish always dropping jewels though.
Michelle said, I feel sorry for the young folks, though, right now. The pickings are slim, man. She's probably, I don't know. Shit. Even though, okay, so she feels for the young folks. I feel for us older ones as well because the pickings are slim, because of so many people, especially during the pandemic, have broken up or whatever, and they've experienced so much bad experience, in relationships that they don't really have. I don't think, maybe y'all can enlighten me on this, but I don't think that they have a lot of room to, just date and see or get to know someone like they should. I don't know. What do y'all think?
What do you mean by we don't have a lot of room?
Like for instance, like let me use an example. Okay, so say like instant for like if you're on the dating site or whatever, and you basically being straight about what you want or whatever, and you live one area and another person live in another area so far away, whatever. And if things ain't going just like that, clicking just like that, as far as to seeing each other, you just don't have, let's give it up right there. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the patience or the time to, kind of deal with that. That's
our issue though. That would be our issue, right? And I think Michelle Obama just had a interview where she talks about this. If she gives up on Obama, there is no Obama.
True.
He's not Obama when he meets this woman, right? True. But she's Michelle Obama though, right? So this successful woman, who is independent, who's career driven, put her shit on pause.
Right. Sure did.
Right. So it took a certain sacrifice. And that's what I was going to say. The issue is that love is unconditional, and because it's unconditional, you will sacrifice it for the better of the relationship. A lot of times we want the relationship to work that we want, the way that we want to work it, because it's selfish. We want it to benefit us, but a relationship is not that. It's unconditional, and it's supposed to benefit both parties. And in the same way, right? It's not supposed to be more beneficial for you than it is for me. And Michelle Obama talks about it where she says it's this concept that it's 50-50. Sometimes it wasn't 50-50. Sometimes it was 70-30, right?
Yeah,
and you have to be strong in that. You have to be willing to fight for that. And the big part of it is you have to be willing to work for what you want. And I think a lot of times is we're not willing to work for it. So in terms, we really don't want that. Because if it's something that you want, and I use myself, when it was something that I want, I immediately made the proper changes that I needed to make. It literally overnight. We talk about
but
this.
She had to see something. She had to see something in him. Just like anybody with your relationship or whatever that makes certain sacrifices or whatever, they have to see something in you in order to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That
that's true. That's
kind
true.
of like if I'm a slacker and you see that I'm a slacker, then you ain't trying to, But if you see that, oh, this man is intelligent, oh, he can actually be the president of the United States. This is how bad he is, and I'm gonna stick with him and I'm gonna be behind him or whatever and get him there. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be that one to sit back and not be about me, and not distract him or try to shy him from what he's trying to do or accomplish. I'm going to try to make it and make it, go and let us grow together and make this shit happen. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of woman I need. So that's next to
and that's what kind of woman I need. Hey, great plug though. I see you.
Right.
You gotta take out 2 pages.
2 pages of that, right? Read that. There you go.
There are many different soul connections you can have with all sorts of people, not all of which are marked by romance. We have to be mature enough to understand what we've experienced, for sure. Fish always dropping jewels, though.
I know, right?
Well said, Fish.
Right. All right, man. Let's get into this next one real quick.
Next topic.
Okay, we good. We good on time. You know how we do. 2 hours.
Yeah.
You've been on some relationship stuff lately, dog. So this is all how to create a balance. Create balance in a successful relationship.
I would love to lead off with Melissa and Wayne on this one.
Let's go.
Because I think that you guys, with the ability of what you guys been able to do, being in a quote unquote taboo relationship, and the obstacles that you guys had to face, and how you came back from that, and the balance that you guys had to learn. Right. I think that you guys are experts. And I know how you like to say, Melissa, that you're not an expert. I think in this, for sure, for this topic, I think that you guys exemplify what that balance in a successful relationship is. And so I kind of want to lead off with you guys, because you actually know what type of balance, and you're doing it in not a traditional relationship, in a more taboo relationship, and you're making it work. So I wanted to go ahead and get you guys' opinion.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, what do you mean by balance, or what do you balance when you thought of this question? Balancing what?
Great question. I mean, balancing the relationship as a whole, emotionally. What are you guys willing to sacrifice? Understanding that there are sacrifices that have to be made within a relationship. Taking yourself out of it, removing the ego, all of those things that come along with
between us within the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I would like the first thing that came up to my mind in this was something that I learned in working with clients in my own supervision from my supervisor. I think it was my supervisor who said this. But anyway, was kind of a reframing of the word balance, where I think often we talked about, you mentioned this earlier, where we think about it as 50-50. and maybe inviting people to think about it less as like a 50-50 or any kind of percentage. It's not about like having equal parts. It's more of a dance. Think of balancing more as a dance than it is as like weighing the equal parts and being like, okay, we're going to put this and this needs to be exactly, or that balance means that it has to be like exactly or equal in what you're asking for or whatever, because that's not always the case. So I like to look at balancing as more like, yeah, like I said, just more like a dance, and it can change and it flows, and again, it doesn't have to be equal and it doesn't have to be exact. So I think that was the biggest lesson for me in balancing between each other, is that at first I came with that ideology of like, it needs to be equal and it needs to look the same in our relationship. And it was like, well, that's going to be really hard because we're two different people with two different experiences. And so, we kind of got to feel that out as we go.
As you go. So is there some sort of process, or I guess I'm trying to get like, what do you do to, and I understand communication plays a big part, but what do you do to make that?
What do you do to initiate that?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I'm going to let you answer that question, but really quickly, I think what has helped me, one thing I kind of brought up to, and I was really scared to say this to you, but I think I said something on the lines of, can we try something different? Can we like take care of ourselves? Can we prioritize?
That's what I was going to go with.
Okay. Can we prioritize taking care of ourselves and trust that that's ultimately going to benefit
us,
benefit each other?
That's what I was going to go with. That's exactly it, right? Because you come in, right? For me, like I know a lot of people. I hear people talk about, oh, I need a woman that does these things for me. I need a woman that does this thing. Like I need you to know your space in this, play your part here, and let me go out and do this. And for me, it's more, I want to be with somebody who equal to me, because if I feel like somebody is I'm not gonna say beneath or below me, but not on the same level I am, then I would take advantage of that person. So I need somebody to hold me accountable. I need somebody to call me on my shit. And so and she does that for sure. And so the conversation, what you're talking about, I was going to say too, because how we were able to do it is because I had to check myself. I had to check in with myself. I had to go in and see where I was not showing up at, and where I was coming up short at, and why she was feeling the way she was feeling because of the things that I was doing. And so once I was able to recognize that, and we can have a conversation about it, I can start to work on those things. And so now I can show up better for her, which would put her in a position to where now she would show up better for me. So, and then she's doing the same work that I'm doing, but we doing it where we need to do it at. And then when we come together, it's now we're able to, now the relationship itself is able to blossom even more. So yeah,
I think maybe practically speaking is like getting real with ourselves and really being honest about, what is it that we want to experience in this relationship or in life, and like, I don't know, getting clear about that and like bringing that and putting that on the table. I think that was one place that I fell short in our relationship, is like I kind of kept that shit to myself for whatever reasons. I didn't speak up on it. I didn't ask for it. I didn't advocate for it. I kind of just like, okay, and it wasn't until like I really started to put that out there. And
was it because you kind of sometimes within a relationship, because you was afraid to make it difficult or make it an argument or whatever in the relationship? It's like you held it in, not knowing that if I would have just opened up before, he probably would have.
Well, how can you balance what isn't there?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to put it out there so that you can begin to do the balancing thing, right? But yeah, absolutely. I was scared. I didn't want to cause any issues. I didn't want to make things hard. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I prioritized the relationship over me, over everything. Like it was like the relationship was the thing. So
so how long, like, so when I do get in a relationship, how long did it like take for that to occur? Because you guys have been together for a while, so I'm sure you had to go through the trials and tribulations and stuff like that, or whatever, to even get to that point. How long do you think it took to actually kind of get there?
Man, some of the concepts that I'm talking about now, I think we didn't get to like what, within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like outright. This
Yeah.
is stuff that's been developing and building up and
Right.
whatever. But like the way that I'm speaking about it, and we've been together for 20 years.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
So,
wondering. Like,
so
that.
again, remember when we talked about
Y'all still
when
learning.
we first were doing this, there was no help out here for us. So we had on the job training. We had to learn by trial by fire,
Right.
you know. And so we, you know, but we already knew that we weren't going to not be together. So we had to figure it out,
Right.
you know. And that was hard. It was, you know. And we've switched like at some, you know. At one point when she was afraid to say certain things or whatever, and so she held them in. I did the same thing, you know, later on within the relationship when I was trying, right, when she was healing from some old wounds and
Right.
some old resentments, you know, and I was showing up for her at the same time. I shut parts of myself off,
Yeah.
and so now I'm afraid to bring up things because I don't want to make her feel kind of. I don't want to make her feel kind of way. I don't make things uncomfortable. I don't
Right.
want to, you know. So again,
We were being codependent.
Yeah.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
But no, another thing is power dynamics. I think this is helpful too, of like having a conversation about power dynamics because they exist.
Mhm.
They exist, and to pretend that they don't, you know, is really harmful to the relationship. So I think, yeah, having that conversation. What does the power dynamic between us look like right now? What is it, and what do we want it to look like? And like having a choice and being intentional about that versus like letting it automatically just happen and be. You
Right.
know.
Yeah, I
without
always
the
say that
conversation.
people
So-
they would look at us like we crazy. They could hear some of the conversation that we've actually had. They'd be like, I can't believe that you guys talked about that. Or
Yeah.
you said that to her, or she said that to you. Like, but those conversations need to be had.
Right.
You can't avoid those conversations because all they'll do is they'll pop up in a different way later on. You know, in a much more negative way. And now we didn't allow it to go so long that we don't even know what it is. It's unrecognizable. So we can't even go back to its root of what the actual issue is because we're dealing with this thing that we have to deal with. It's become.
Right.
You know, so
You know what's so interesting though? We say that a lot, and you know, sometimes it's the things that we don't talk about
Mhm.
that is like really where it's at. Because
Oh,
even though we
definitely.
talk about some really hard stuff, for whatever reason, we're able to talk about that.
Uh-huh.
But there could be some things that we don't talk about that might not be seen as difficult or as hard, but
But we've learned
it's
this
because
throughout
we're
our-
not talking about
Right.
it. And that's what I always try to help clients
Yeah.
is like, what aren't we talking about?
But
Let's talk
these-
about
Right.
And these are things we've learned over the years now. So now we can recognize and know them, you know. But I'm just saying for like people who don't know, they'll be like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed. You know, that was a thing. You know.
Yeah. Okay. All
Did
right.
we answer your question?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted you guys to answer that question.
Actually, you know, what really, hold on. You know what really answered my question? The interaction that you guys just had just now.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And how y'all look at each other and understand each other and go, you know, y'all conversation, the way you guys conversated with each
We
other.
dance. We learn how to dance with each
Yeah,
other.
you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I love it, man. All right, what you gonna say, Fat Boy? I'm sorry, man.
And that's basically what I was saying, understanding that balance, right? And you
Yeah.
guys found your balance. I think a key point that both of you guys said was, it goes back to what I said in the beginning, is you realized that you had to be better for yourself to be better for each other, right? I think that we put so much emphasis on a relationship, like Melissa said, that we neglect making ourselves better, which in turn makes the relationship better. I'm very traditional, you know, and I feel the man should do this and the woman should do this, and then my woman challenges me and we get into these arguments and we get into these situations, and then I have to go be more accountable about myself and say, well, what is it about you that you have to push her into these traditional worlds? Do you can you not do the dishes? Can you not cook a meal because you're such a man that you can't, because you've programmed yourself to saying that those are women duties? And to go to Wayne and Melissa, that's a me thing, right?
Yeah.
That's not a her thing. That's
Right.
a me thing, and something that I've built in myself through my traditional ideologies.
Yeah.
And so I brought that into the relationship, and it was creating conflict, right? And she has hers too, but I was just saying that, like, did we just really get into an argument about me cleaning up? You know what I'm saying? It's because I feel that it's not the traditional thing. And then, like you guys say, I had to realize that, damn, maybe I am being selfish, and learning the balance that, okay, I can help her with the house shit. I can put in a little more cooking. It doesn't take from the man that I am. It actually strengthens the relationship.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know,
we got a few.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
Oh no, I was just saying we got some comments, but go ahead before we go.
Well, I was gonna say I got schooled by my son's therapist once.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it was she really helped out in this balancing dance that I talk about, because we went to family therapy, and you know, as parents, we're like, oh, you know, help our child or whatever, and always, and as a therapist, I would say is anytime there's like parents bring to kids to therapy, it's usually the parents that we really want to talk to, not the kids.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she talked to us, and she helped us to recognize that, you know, Wayne, we were complaining about each other, that I was like focused on my son's feelings and not like keeping him accountable, not making him do these things and blah blah blah, you know, the more masculine kind of energy. And I was complaining that he was like doing all these things and he wasn't focusing on the feelings and blah blah blah. And so she really helped me to realize that both are important. You know, It was just a matter of you know, finding our flow and being like, okay, let's give his feelings, his emotions some attention first, and then we can talk about what needs to be done and what we expect of him and blah 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 blah. But instead, we were just trying to be like, no, you need to be more like me, and I need to be, and he needs more blah blah blah. And we were just kind of arguing. So I say that you made me think about that, Fat Boy, that example, and also how I think we want to think about it as like a thing to achieve or to get to, but it's a constant thing that we're doing in our relationship. It's kind of a paradox. Like I said, the balance, it's the dance. It's not all the way over here, all the way over there. It's the dance between the paradox.
Yeah.
You know?
And then this is where the non-monogamous part comes in, right? Is because once you are able to do that, and then when people start to ask you, man, how are you guys able to have multiple relationships? It's already so hard for this. But when you get it and understand it, you just take that same model and you just duplicate it in the next relationship, you know, and whoever else you deal with. You know, so, you know, in some, you may not get somebody who communicates as well. And so you got to figure out, you know, do you have the capacity to do that? But at the same time, you're still taking the same model and you're now applying it to the next relationship that you're dealing with, whoever you're engaging with, may it be intimate, physical, whatever, you know, but you're able to do that because you now have the understanding and the tools to do it.
I want to hear from your viewers.
Okay, here we go. Let's see who we got. Was it this one, Andrew? Let's see. You build on each other's strengths and weaknesses. Where you might be weak and the others is strong. Loyalty and commitment defined by both of you. She hit the nail on the head. Prioritizing. He's talking about you.
Absolutely. As always, though.
Right. Go ahead.
Optimus Arms says, a wise man once said, love is like a friendship caught on fire. In the beginning, a flame, very pretty, often hot and fierce, but still only light and flickering.
All right, Optimus, man. What the heck? You put some poetry out there.
Deep on us. That's what I wanted. That's what we want. We want.
Go ahead.
It says, as love grows older, our hearts mature, and our love becomes as cold, deep burning, and unquenchable. Bar. And another wise man wrote, and in the end, the love you take equals to the love you make. Bar. And another wise man wrote,
I had a very
in the end, the love you take equals the love you make. Yeah, that was it.
So nice you had to say it twice.
No, facts. That was right on the head. I knew that I knew when I knew you guys were coming this week. And so I had that one specifically in mind for y'all because I knew that you guys would bring a different light, right? Because we tend to be a little biased here. Just in our way. But I feel like you guys are you're credible, right? You have this 20 years experience, like I say, in this so-called taboo relationship, and you guys are making it work. And beyond making it work, you're creating your own success. You're creating your own balance in how you want to do this dance. And I think that what we try to do is we try to make our dance like everyone else's dance, right? We may be salsaing right now, right? But you're two-stepping. You know what I mean? And so I'm right now, we're salsaing, we're dancing this way. We're not dancing like that yet. And when we are, we'll be able to dance and adjust to as so. But right now we're doing this movement. And I think that that's a big part of creating balance in a relationship and understanding that there needs to be a balance in a relationship for the relationship to be successful. I think that we bring our own ideologies that affect the way that we approach our relationship. And I think that is it disrupts the balance because we don't want to hold the accountability. We don't want to do the self reflection and the self accountability and break down. Well, damn, maybe I am being approved, right? Or maybe I am not listening to what she's saying, or is what she said that bad, or what is it about me that I can't take this kind of criticism? You know what I mean? And that helps create the balance, because now when she's saying something or vice versa, when he's saying something, you're not taking that negative because you've already done that self accountability. So you know what you're doing to make this relationship better, and you're taking all criticisms, right? And you're taking all the opinions because you want to be the best for the relationship. So you're into creating that balance. So I love the way you guys broke it down today.
Yeah. And that's one of the. I mean, actually, you hit it on the nail. And
good segue, huh? You see me? You see me segue?
This is the reason why you hear that. Reasons why. Anyway, this is the reasons why, you know, right? That we have them here, you know, and for to actually, you know, more so teach, coach, you know, the experience and stuff like that. And I'm gonna actually kind of get a floor to them, man, as to what there is to come for their show, what there is to come for their coaching and workshops and everything like that or whatever. So yeah, you guys, y'all got the floor now.
How much time do we got?
We good. So
y'all got this. Oh,
okay.
shit.
You talking about for today, or
no, just it. What we talking about?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, today we were hoping to get into just some non-monogamy 101 basics. You know, I think people are always interested in like what is possible in non-monogamy, and then too easily discouraged because there's so many damn terms and
Right.
language and jargon and things like that it's like you know, it's kind of a turnoff sometimes, even for me, talking about this. Is, I have to be honest, this is not my favorite part to talk about. Is like going over the terms and definitions, because I think people get really caught up in it and like they want to box themselves in and all this, but you know,
but it's more so just to show that there is so many different options. You know, it's not just one way. It's not what we think that because we've heard this thing and that's what it is, but there's so many different ways, and you can kind of figure out, you can kind of explore it and check them out and see which one you know kind of works best for you. And maybe that's where you start out at, but that may not be where you finish at. You may finish somewhere else, or you may take a little bit from everywhere, kind of what we do, and create your own thing, you know.
Right.
So we want to do a workshop, like a basics of non-monogamy workshop. So go to our Instagram page, shades_of_non-monogamy, and let me know that you're interested in the workshop so that we can get that going. But in the workshop, we will probably cover just like basic terms of non-monogamy, like what is non-monogamy, the different types of non-monogamy, and terms that, you know, you can learn, as well as like some practical tips on how to get started exploring, you know, and learning more about non-monogamy.
And so real quick, just to let everybody know, like it's a growing thing. It's not just a fad, you know. And I don't know what, you know, people know, but I wanted to bring up this. So basically, recently what happened was a New York judge ruled in favor of polyamorous relationships. So basically what she did was they're recognizing more than two people in a relationship, you know. And so it's the same way kind of like gay marriage became legal, because in Massachusetts they started, and so then it caught fire, and then it passed through the other states. And so New York right now is leading the way in that. So that just lets you know, again, how many people are opting to try to be in a different type of relationship, you know. So
Okay. So I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to give you some tips about exploring non-monogamy. And the first one is to, do your research to learn.
Can you give me real quick?
Yeah.
The
Shades underscore
shades underscore
of underscore non-monogamy. Yeah. So just for the sake of time, I want to like work backwards and give you the tips on how to explore, like, some practical tips on exploring non-monogamy. Is one's doing the research, like learning about it. So whether that's like, books, podcasts, whatever the case, like just Google non-monogamy and start to kind of, just explore there. So that's always helpful. And then reflection. I think this is the biggest part. And this is the part that people miss often is like the self-reflection about non-monogamy. It's like, oh, we just want to do it. And then you go out there and do it. And then like, well, how did I get here? And what happened? But reflection, some good reflection questions, like what do you, aside from I want a threesome, or I want to be polyamorous, or I want an open relationship, or whatever, like start to ask yourself, like, what is it that I actually want to feel and experience in this, and I think that's a better like compass of where you want to go in your relationships with people or your connections with people than to be like threesome, and it has to look like this. And the other thing is like, why are you interested in non-monogamy and what do you want to get out of it? How's it going to benefit you? Like really start to think about what is it? Why were you drawn to it in the first place? And yeah, I don't think we ask ourselves that. We kind of just like, well, we feel it, we want it, and we're not really asking ourselves like, why? Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
And then a third reflection question is, does this align and support my values, my personal values and goals in life? Like, and how does it do that? Because maybe it doesn't. I mean, maybe monogamy kind of more supports and isn't aligned with your values. So that self-reflection is a really helpful part. And, if you need some help doing that, you need some feedback on that, we can help you. So reach out to us. And I think the next part is exposure. Begin to get out there, meet people, expose yourself, like whether it's through YouTube, podcasts like us. There's discussions, there's events out there, like Google them, look them up, and just start to like actually talk to people and immerse yourself into people who are actually doing this.
Would you say like events or would be the best or closest way to actually learn what you really actually want? You know what I mean? Say like you said, like the question is, how do you know that you even want to be in a non-monogamy relationship, and why do you feel that you need to be in it? Is it just the experience or going to experience it first to see, or
I think it could be helpful. I think it could be a fun way too, because at some point books are gonna get
I think
go out there.
I think
but you don't know until you know. So go out there and start to meet people and experience and talk.
I think exposure. I think community. Because how can I if I really want to try this out or try something different, whatever, but I'm hanging around a bunch of people who think negatively of it, then I'm most likely not going to do it because I'm worried about being judged by them. So I'm not going to explore. But if I could start to find people who are open to these things and able to have a conversation, then I'm more likely to try it and experience it, because the people make me feel comfortable and safe to go out there and try it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you can give your honest opinion, right?
I would say, go ahead.
I'm
sorry, I'm saying, but with taking that approach, I think that you can actually give, or am I for it or am I not? I think that, like Melissa said, when you approach it with I just want to have a threesome type mindset, you're not really understanding what takes place and what has to go into having a successful non-monogamous relationship. And I think that's a big part. So great point, Wayne.
Yeah. And doing so with people, again, who have experienced it and explored it. Like I shared this on my post on my Instagram. Like at one point in the swing clubs, like we were host couples. So we would like new people who would come into the club. We would show them around. We would give them tours and stuff and explain and like introduce them to other people. If because sometimes the place could be cliquish like any other place.
Right.
And so we would like introduce them to people. And so I think similarly, like, in life, like Yeah, try to find somebody who can
knows
show
they
you
can
around.
you the ropes.
And if you want us to show you around, hit us up and we can give you a tour
Right,
for a
right.
nice little fee.
Yeah.
Because your friends are probably not gonna be the best people that can help you out.
Right.
And then the last tip is, just like stay open, set the intention, and allow yourself to experience and explore. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think the scary part is just the not knowing. So because you don't know, you automatically come in with judgment. You come in with your already these limited way of
Right.
thinking about it because you don't know. You know, and until you really actually start to learn and know about it, you can see that it's completely different than what you initially thought it was. For instance, like nobody's gonna look at Melissa and myself and think that this is our lifestyle, because why would we do that? It probably, and I'm not whatever, they be like, oh man, you guys are a pretty attractive couple. Why would you guys do that? You have each other, or you have a family. Like, but again, it's not about that. It's about, like she said, like what is it that you want in life, and what do you, and how do you want to live your life, and what does that look like for you? And I think that if we're all honest with ourselves, we all have parts of ourselves that want to explore things, but we're afraid because we don't want to be judged or whatever the case may be, and I think that even having a conversation about it isn't actually putting it into action. It's just a conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm taking a break. If you have any questions, or anything, the next thing would be to just give you some common like types of non-monogamy. But
Yeah.
from what I said so far.
Matter of fact, let's real quick. Actually, catch these comments real quick, and then we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna close it out, and then get more. I'm supposed to turn.
Hey, Carletta.
Get more
Crown-
information and stuff
Crown
like that.
Prince says, I learned a lot about non-monogamous relationships by talking to people who have and are experiencing it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. She says, I agree, Fat Boy. People living the lifestyles are so much more willing to provide non-biased information and insight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think especially the way that Melissa and Wayne does it, I think that you guys take the taboo away from it. It's you can't help but, okay, this is informal, right? Because you're not glorifying it, right? You're just saying this is what we're doing. This is how we love each other. And here's the information. And so go find out for yourself. And so it allows
you can also
with the open mindset.
Have a longer lasting relationship too.
Exactly. And it allows you to approach it with that mindset of,
Another,
this is just something different than what I'm used to. And it's some knowledge that I lack on. You know what I mean? Right. Instead of, oh, my mama didn't teach me that, and then I'm against this, and I'm against that, and I'm against this. You kind of got to be more open because you see how it works for y'all, right? So you got to listen to it. I think that, like you said, a lot of times it's pushed that, like, I just want to have a threesome. And so it has this taboo feeling, this taboo look on it. Yeah. But I love it when you guys break it down because there's a purity in it that I have to always talk about it. There's a purity in how you guys explain your transgressions and how you guys love each other. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And that's okay too. Like if you just want a threesome, I mean that's okay too. And like,
that's all right too.
Right. But it's still the whole fact of understanding.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
They would say like, well, I don't want to be considered a slut. I just want to, go and I want to fuck and all this stuff. It's like, okay, cool. You could do that and you can have a great time. Like you can still do that in a caring way, and you can do that in a way that you feel good about yourself. So do that. Do both.
And the thing is too is because I'm very I'm not very religious, but I was raised in a certain way, and when I got to the point where I was kind of disappointed with say like for instance, I'm just kind of using this for example, but for like church, and I got disappointed, and I was kind of like, where there's Catholic, there's other, there's Scientology there, but but I hear all these bad things or the things that they go through, but I don't know unless I go.
Right.
I don't know unless I do, and Scientology at first to me sounded like, oh man, that sounds like they be doing a damn thing, whatever, blah blah blah, up until when I went.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I was kind of like, uh-oh. this ain't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is with these, you know, with non-monogamy or any other relationship that you may want to try, you have to go through it in order to see if you like it or want it or not. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's like I might find a church, you know, that's like, oh, this is the one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but if I didn't go out there,
Yeah.
I never would have, you know what I'm saying? So that's why, you know, I get from the, as far as an example of actually, you know, trying certain things within a relationship or just in life general or whatever to, you know, see if that's something that makes you happy. You know.
Another thing that makes it scary is that a lot of people don't talk about the issues or problems that go on within their relationship. For instance,
And why?
Right. For instance, let's talk about a long-term relationship, right? What the statistics show is that in a long-term relationship, sex tends to die down, right? It just is what it is for multiple reasons. We don't even need to go into them, but we know that that's a tendency to happen,
Right.
you know. And so people wouldn't understand. Like I remember something that, you know, when let's say for instance, I would go hang out, right? This is early on in our relationship, and then I would come back and I would have this energy within me for Melissa, and she would feel some type of way, like, okay, oh, that's built up for something else. But in actuality, you know, the truth is that, you know, no, it's for you. It's not. I went out, I hung out. Let's say I went out, hung out with somebody at the bar or whatever, or just went to go eat or whatever. But now I have this energy. Now I'm coming home, and she is the beneficiary of the energy that I would not have had if I had not gone out. Right, we would still have that same kind of night or whatever. Right, and vice versa, because she didn't understand it at first, but then when she went out and she experienced it for herself, she was like, oh, I see it, you know. And something in just that, you know what I mean? Something is so minute and simple that we don't even think about. But the truth is, like, man, what do you do when you've been together? So do you just go without now because, okay, cool, we're in a monogamous relationship, we've been together, I don't know, 12 years, and we just in a sexless relationship, you know what I mean? Like, because that's what happens a lot of times. If that wasn't the case, then a lot of therapists out here wouldn't be having jobs, you know, couples therapists, you know, or trying to help people figure out how to bring sex back into a relationship, you know, and try all these different things, and then when those don't work, then what, you know what I mean? So I just think that we don't speak a lot of, we're not honest with ourselves, and we don't have enough people out here talking about it to normalize it, to show that we're not in it alone by ourselves.
I think we need a title: bring sex back in relationship. We need that.
That's a good point, because I think that there's a stigma too of like that people always like, oh, you're just doing that because whatever, you got problems in your relationship, or you are not having sex in your relationship or whatever. And I don't know. And I'm like, yeah. So, you know, like, so what? I think if that person, that couple decides to like open up the relationship for that, I don't see that as a bad thing. Right. I mean, of course, be honest, let people know what the situation is and what they're getting into and things like that. Yeah. But why is that a problem? Why is that a bad thing? Because why throw out the entire relationship just because the sex part maybe isn't
right
there?
Right. And so not like within our relationship, right? Melissa went through postpartum depression. She was not feeling sexual. So for this went on for like 2 years. So, you know, what am I to do for those 2 years if I'm in a monogamous relationship? That's right. That's what they would tell you, right? And so now the resentment comes into play, right? Now the anger comes in, because I feel like because I'm in this monogamous relationship, so I feel like, oh, I'm married, so you're supposed to do this thing for me because you're my wife. Right. You have to do this thing for me, not thinking that this is a whole person right here who has autonomy over their body. Right. And just because I'm in a sexual space does not mean that they're in a sexual space. Right. And so if they're not feeling it, it doesn't mean that the relationship is over. It just means that for whatever thing she's going through right now, I have to respect that. And now we can have a conversation and figure that out.
Like, and that there are viable, successful relationships, and that it's not defined by the sex in the relationship. Yes. I think that's the big thing too.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, that was a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, that's good. I agree, because they showed that it can be about more than just sex.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
what knowledge. Crown Printing said. I love the sincere strength and love between them. W and M. That's Wayne and Melissa. I know that's what that means, right? Yeah. So I do like. I know, right? I do like how they explain it to each other. I mean, explain it to others for knowledge. I'm still traditional and loved 101. No judgment, but I love how open they are. Exactly. You know, and that's what, you know, you guys have to look forward to in their show that's coming up. and also the workshop. As you can see, go down there and check it out. And you know, learn something. You know what I'm saying? You'll learn something.
And I again, I'm not advocate. I'm not like, hey, you should be. Everybody should be
Exactly.
I love monogamy for those who love it too. Like, and all of our, whatever we do is open to people who are monogamous as well, because I think a lot of the things that we talk about is for any relationship, is for every relationship. And I would say the same thing to monogamous people. It's like, ask yourself these same reflection questions that I just went over. You know, does monogamy support my values? And if it does, that's wonderful and that's beautiful, you know. And how do I want to be in this monogamous relationship? What do I want my relationship to look like? How do I want to feel and experience this? So it's
and
not
what is monogamy to me?
Exactly. What does that mean to me? Exactly. So
and,
you know.
And this is where the balance comes in, right? Because that's Melissa's approach, but my approach is more so like, man, you know, you've been going about relationships for this long, and this is where you are.
Right.
Like, why not try something different? What's the worst thing that can happen? You know what I'm saying? The worst thing that can happen is you end up right back where you are right now.
Right.
So why not try something different?
Right. Absolutely.
You know, so again, like when do we you know, stop continuing to try to fit into a box that we probably don't fit in? And even in men who, or not even men, just people, men and women who say I'm traditional, I'm monogamous, but yet they still cheat in relationships.
Right.
You know, so again, that makes no sense. So and if you know that about yourself, if you're gonna get tired in a relationship and then just go cheat, why not try something different?
Exactly.
You know, try to see what else is out there. You know, again, worst thing that can happen is you right back where you started at in the first place.
True. Yep. That is true.
And you know, dating is a form of non-monogamy as well, too. You know?
Really?
It is.
I mean, because
It is.
non-monogamy doesn't
Tell
have
me
to,
more. Tell me
well,
more.
because it doesn't have to, like, you can be monogamous and like practice non-monogamy in your dating because you're seeing more than one person at a time.
Well, isn't that
doesn't make you non-monogamous? So I'm not saying you are
but
non-monogamous.
It's essentially being not, because you're not seeing one person at a time when you're dating, right? You're dating multiple people. So you are, and you don't, but the thing is that you don't, and this is where it comes in, like because this is where the unethical part comes in, because you're not telling somebody, hey, I'm seeing somebody else, or I'm seeing two other people, because you don't want that person to stop seeing you. So, but then when somebody finds out, they're upset. Oh, I thought you was just seeing me, but that was never a conversation. You know, that was an assumed conversation.
I want to hear what you were going to say, though, when I said that. I want to hear what you were going to say.
Oh, no. I was going to actually ask, because I had a, I don't know if did I mention this before, the young lady I met from Canada?
Yes,
I did,
think so.
About the how honest the guy wasn't with her.
So you mentioned kind of something,
yeah. So, well, I thought that, and I kind of reiterate this question basically because he was being one-sided,
right?
You know, he didn't. You know, he was telling her that he was non-monogamy. You know, they had an open relationship, but she asked, you know, did the wife know? You know what I'm saying? And he never really answered that. You know what I mean? But yet she still kind of went through it to find out later that wasn't the case.
Gotcha.
You know, and I think one of the questions is there a way when someone tells you that to finding out? You know, I mean, do you just, hey, well, let me speak to your wife?
That's exactly what you do.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly what you do.
Yeah. You can make that your standard, your practice.
I think you should. I think you should do that. If that's what if you really want to know, then you should definitely do that. And even if they were to tell you that, oh, you know, she don't really want to talk, or she don't like talking, no, well, I need to at least know this okay.
Yeah.
You know, I need to know that she's okay. You know, so.
But I'm glad you said it, because that makes me want to clarify that I said dating is like you could be practicing non-monogamy in dating, and then there's like consensual, what they consider consensual non-monogamy versus non-monogamy, right? And that's what Wayne was talking about, and what you're saying is like, it sounds like that may or may not have been consensual or whatnot.
It doesn't sound like it was.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't sound like it was over here.
It sound like it was.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was kind of saying. That's why I told her to watch the show.
I like how you was being nice like that, Melissa. You didn't want to say that they was on bullshit over there.
Here's the balance between us. Melissa will always try to be really nice and kind of be gentle with it.
I'm being nice. I don't know all the information, so you know. But yes, it doesn't sound like it was.
No,
it doesn't. No, right. I'm gonna go with Nick. Nick says, I think most men couldn't handle non-monogamy sexually because they can do it because as soon as the woman does it, she's damaged. Absolutely.
Hold on, say
I
it
agree.
again.
Nick says, I think most men couldn't handle non-monogamy sexually because they can do it, but as soon as the woman does it, she's damaged. I agree.
Yeah, it's so funny because that's a topic of conversation recently, right? About how many bodies a woman has, and is she marriage material because she's been with a certain amount of men?
Right.
You know, that's such a male egotistical thing, right? That we have because our ego is so fragile that we can't handle competition of another man. You know, like because we so worried about what is he better than us, you know, in whatever way, right? And so for myself, I'm just competing with me. I'm not competing with as long as I'm showing up how I'm supposed to show up. I don't have anything to worry about. I'm not worried about anybody else, you know. And so it's okay for women. I mean, for men to be promiscuous, but not women, right? And so and I always laugh about that because if it's okay for a man to be promiscuous and he don't want a woman who are you having sex with then?
No, for real.
Who are you having sex with? If you know, because you don't want a woman who is so-called been with a lot of men, but you out here having sex with women and you don't want to be in a relationship with them.
Yeah, and it is two-sided or double-sided because sometimes I mean, like you look at like I know a young lady that has 2 kids, 2 baby daddies,
right?
And, you know, people look at her like, dang, like what's going on? Yeah, you can have, you know what I'm saying? But then I have 2 baby mamas or whatever, and it's cool, you know,
right?
Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it is a double standard when it comes
to And at the end of the day, we can be honest because we, you know, as men, we know that we, you know, tend to do what we feel like we, you know, do whatever it is that we need to do in order to get what we want. So we will manipulate somebody, and they could be a so-called good girl, right? She only had 2 guys and that may be a challenge for us. So now we know that we don't want to be in a relationship with her, but we'll have sex with her. So now we just added to her so-called body count, right? And with no intention on being in a relationship with her. So again, that's why I always, you know, when I hear these kind of conversations, to me, I'm like that's not okay because we help to push the narrative in that direction, like, oh man, these people aren't worthy because they've done these things, but we help put those people in those positions because of how we aren't able to show up because of our own egos. So
absolutely.
I don't know. I just threw the camera on you.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
Before we go, can I drop some like some of the common, and maybe people can. Maybe this is like your homework. You go Google this, you know, go Google these terms or whatnot. And if you want to know more, again, hit us up on Instagram and let us know that you're interested in a workshop or even one-on-one working with us. And we can answer questions and we can, you know, give more of a personal one-on-one.
That's your Instagram.
But shades. So just a couple of like common non-monogamy types. There's swinging. And I'll give like a quick little brief. Like swinging, often there's like a focus or interest in engaging sexually, but maybe not pursuing romantic or you know, romantic intimacy or relationships or whatnot. But that's swinging, and often there's like a lot of couples who do that. So there might be like couples like partner swapping is what they call it, or you know, I don't know, I don't like the term, but you know, and there's some single people who are involved in swinging as well. Then there's polyamory, which actually means like many loves. And so that's like the practice or having the capacity for, you know, multiple relationships or loving, you know, or intimacy and being in relationships with multiple people. And then there's like a whole bunch of subcategories and groups and types under polyamory. Like that's a lot to look up. Then there's polygamy, which is like marriage to more than one person at a time. And the polygamy is like the umbrella term, and polygyny is, and these are not gender.
But polygamy is it's a man married to a bunch of women. No,
polygamy is actually the umbrella term, like non-monogamy. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We kind of messed that up.
Yeah.
But I've learned that the polygamy is actually the umbrella term of just like being married to more than one person.
Okay.
And then and these aren't gender neutral, so polygyny is like one husband, multiple wives, and polyandry is one wife, multiple husbands. I mean, I think there's like group marriage too.
It's a lot to learn.
Yeah, and this is why I don't really like this part and giving it this way, because it's like overwhelming. It's like, where do I fit in? And all of these things.
But that's what the show is for.
That's what the show is for. But it's a good starting place for some people
Right.
because some people are like, oh, there's a name for that thing. That's what I've been wanting. And
Right.
other people might
No, really.
what do I want to experience and what I want to feel? I don't care what it's named, what it's called. Like, this is what I want to do.
Exactly.
A couple more is like open relationship. That's, you know, somebody who's already in a relationship. And I think we think of non-monogamy as like already being in a relationship, but there's people who aren't in a relationship who are still non-monogamous. So let's not forget about them. But open relationship is just like being in a relationship.
That's an interesting. I'm sorry,
No, go, cut me
that's
off,
an
yeah.
interesting. Being in it, you know, not being in a relationship,
Yeah.
and still being non-monogamous.
So I see myself like I am non-monogamous,
Mhm.
right? And then I am practicing non-monogamy like with Wayne.
Mhm.
And it's not just a thing that I do. Like for some people, I think it's more of like something that they do. It's more of an agreement or it's more of a choice maybe for one particular relationship or another. I feel like it's more like an orientation for me. I feel like it's more of like who I am,
Mhm.
you know, just in my heart. And I can never be in a relationship ever again for the, you know, but still feel non-monogamous and still like see the
Right.
world and see
That's
things
who you
like
are.
that. That's who I am.
You
Yeah.
got you. Okay.
And then there's like monogamish, where it's like somebody or a couple who is like predominantly monogamous,
Mhm.
but you know, they maybe they're not like they're not rigid to that, and they're kind of open and they want to explore a little bit, but it might be more like situational, or it might be, you know, well, we have this agreement for when we travel, we allow, you know, ourselves to kind of like explore whatever, but then when we come back home, we're
Part-time.
monogamous, you know.
Yeah,
So
part-time.
But we allow just flirting.
Yeah.
You know, we allow engaging in text messages, and that's the extent of it. Yeah.
But basically, these are just kind of terms that kind of categorize people's experiences and like what they're interested in or what their agreements are, and that's kind of how the terms have come.
What would you call traveling buddies that go?
Traveling buddies that way.
That, yeah, but you know, they travel, they buddies, and they go, but they still go their separate ways, and then come back, and they still live in like staying in the same room or whatever the case would be. Like,
Are they in a
is that-
relationship or no?
They're friends.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that.
What would you call that?
But I know that's like in swinging, like in the swing community, that's a big thing. They're like play partners or whatever.
Yeah,
like they're not
friends with benefits.
Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
anyway, I just wanted to drop those terms, so go look them up if any of them sound interesting. And again, if you want to,
And there's so many more terms. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you guys out there that's watching and listening and wanting to learn more, you guys see the information down there at the bottom of the screen scrolling. And like I said, I mean, the show is going to be off the chain. You guys are going to learn a lot of things. I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
Me too.
You know what I mean? But we do have another visit coming with these guys. December.
Yeah, December. Yeah.
December.
Was it the 17th?
18th.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Whatever the
yeah.
Thursday is.
Yeah, and we're gonna learn some more things. Whatever.
Absolutely.
You get the show cracking before we actually get them live and having their own show, because it's a lot that I think that people can learn from here, and I believe that you guys can actually learn go to some of these workshops or whatever and learn some things, whatever. So
We should have my mom on here talking about her experience.
ooh,
Right? Of like,
I didn't know that.
what was
Your
it
mom's
like?
in the house. I almost had a camera on it, but I didn't put it
No, I would love to hear that.
learning that your daughter is non-monogamous.
Wow, that is going. Oh,
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that.
that.
I also think that
Yeah, we did a little thing on Instagram, her and I together. So
Oh, okay.
go find it. It's on my page.
I also think that they have a lot to offer, a lot of information to offer to monogamous relationships. I think that the way that they approach their situation and what they have, I think a lot of people need to bring it into their own relationship, whether you're practicing polygamy or your non-monogamy or monogamy, right? I think that a lot of things that you guys are talking about and the topics that you guys are addressing are huge issues within monogamous relationships as well. And that what keeps people from being monogamous is not actually addressing these issues, right? And asking these questions. What does monogamy mean to me? What does these things mean to me? And I think that what you guys can do is you're also going to bring another light to monogamous relationships. And I think that while informing people about non-monogamy, you're going to also be able to teach people how to properly be monogamous.
Right. And I wanted to say one more thing. I wanted to say, like if you are, what people, they always talk about the type of relationship they want, but they don't surround themselves with the people who have already done it, who can kind of help them and kind of like, because they've already experienced it. So they kind of have already created a roadmap to doing it. You don't hang out with, if you want to make a lot of money, you don't hang out with a bunch of people who don't have money and have them teach you how to make money. So why, in the same, again, it's just changing the narrative. Like if I desire to be in this type of relationship, then why don't I surround myself with these people who are doing it, opposed to keeping the same group of people I got who aren't doing it, and that's who I'm getting my advice from.
Right.
It just doesn't. It never makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely makes sense. All right, man. We almost out of time, man. I mean, you guys, I'm telling y'all. Once again, we always do. It's always
a treat when players meet. That's like players used to say. It's a treat when players meet.
Right.
Yeah. I always, I think that when we all get together, it's like this like minds, and I think we all kind of just ping off each other, and I think it's always a great show. It's always great to have y'all wisdom. You know what I mean? Y'all wisdom, y'all energy, the love, the purity. I think that it just exudes through the camera, and then it also makes me come on my A game and makes Phil come on his A game. And I think that
it gives us a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a ongoing thing that needs to be out there, that needs to be told or even learned. You know what I mean? To the point where we definitely enjoy you guys. We definitely look forward to the shows and stuff coming up soon and everything. And it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit. Y'all don't want to miss it, man. Y'all don't want to miss it. We got a lot of stuff going on. But before, we don't have a dear brothers and sisters because we ran out of time. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have one anyway. Which was good now. But we do appreciate you guys tapping in. Every Thursday, you guys at 5 p.m. Tap in, share, subscribe to YouTube, and we also live on TikTok now. So we just did a little test today or whatever, but you guys can catch us on TikTok or whatever. So while y'all looking and flipping through the pages, hit that live or whatever at 5 p.m. You know what I mean, and check us out, right? And we'll discuss or let you guys know, Wayne and Melissa's new show that's coming up and stuff like that, the time and all that stuff once we get it all together, because it's coming. It's coming.
And let us know what you want to hear from us. Whatever questions and interests you have around non-monogamy. Let us know.
And I just wanted to say to Fat Boy, man, we really appreciate it. Like you guys ask some great questions, and you push us to respond a certain way, and so I
love being here. I love the energy.
Definitely,
specifically.
Thank you.
We definitely get to feed off one another's energy because just because the conversation just flows naturally, and I enjoy that.
Right.
Absolutely. Every time I agree. I totally agree, Wayne, and I want to thank you guys for doing that as well, because we had to come with our A game. You got to come with your A game, and I think that we all realize that with each other. I think that it's like, okay, they're coming, right? And so I need to show up, and then also the conversation is like, damn, I was just talking about this yesterday, right? Or we were just speaking on these things, and I think that we're able to portray that, and it comes off on camera because you see these are genuine conversations that we have outside and off the camera.
Genuine, yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, man, that's gonna do it for us today, man. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see y'all next week. It's your boy Fuel.
Fat Boy, we already know what type of time, and remember.
No,
I was already ready.
One of these days we get it right. And remember, if they're talking about you behind your back, they behind you for a reason. Hey. All right, man. I hit you up.
All our illusions will disapparate, and all the reasons start to fade.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Reasons, the show where you can give your reasons why you think what you feel about what we're talking about today. We should know this, man. We say no.
Dear brother, how do y'all deal with erectile dysfunction when you're in a relationship?
I wouldn't know how to do it unless I had it. And remember, if they're talking about you behind your back, they behind you for a reason.
Hey.